Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Stealth Plane video number 6. Super excited to be back. So I've moved the camera down so you can see in here for a very good reason, and we'll get to that when we go. So we've got everything, our hatches we have not glued down as we saw in the last video. This is so that we can get inside. It's very important because the next thing we're going to do is install our servos. So as you build along, as you noticed in the beginning, we had to install the motor before we did everything else. It's just easier not having to try to screw in and glue in and everything with all this structure there. So next is to install the elevons and then the servos and the connections. So what we'll need is, this is that white tape with the fibers through it. It's really strong. That's going to be our hinge joints. We're going to need extensions because these are short. These are going to mount here, and they need to reach all the way down and into the cockpit. They're a little short, so we've got some extensions to put it in there. I'm not using, I have some shorter extensions, but I don't want to be limited to where I can put the receiver so I can move things around. I'm getting a little extra. We are going to cut this in half and use half on one side and half on the other. We've got our push rods, of course, and a servo horn that is going to be converted into our control horns for the elevons. So we'll get to that in just a second. First thing to do is to prep these. Now, I place them against it where they're going to sit. I've made a mark as to what side is going to get beveled. So basically what we're going to do is bevel one edge just like this. Okay? In order to do this, what we do is, this is our edge we're beveling. We're going to take this, and hopefully you can see this, move this down a little bit, right onto the edge of our table. And we're going to come along and we're going to go about 1/4 of an inch from that edge. Right about there. And we're going to take our knife, and we're going to hold it at a 45. Why it needs to come off the edges, you're going to get as close to that paper as possible. Try not to go into it. It shortens everything, and then of course this edge doesn't line up. So it's okay if you go a little under, don't cut it all the way, you've got a little bit of a ridge, that's perfectly fine. We can come back and sand that once we've attached it. The important part is to get the bevel. So we're going to come in, we're not going to hold our knife like this, we're going to hold it more of an angle, and we're going to come in, and I like to do a little bit of a sawing type of a motion. It just helps glide it right along, and we're going right across the top of our ruler. If you need to, you can come back along. Just a little bit here that didn't get quite done. And that's it. And we've got a nice beveled edge. Again, I didn't go all the way down, that's fine. We'll take care of that later. So get these in place, make sure everything's good. We're happy with that. Now, to install this, of course, we're going to peel paper. Because we're going to be taping, so we don't want the paper to get in the way. Again, our bevel is under. Alright, now I've laid this out, it's nice, this is a nice mat, it gives me that nice center line of what I'm going to do, which is split this. We only want half the tape, but we can use this one side for one side of it and the other one for the opposite side. So I'm just going to come through and slice it right in half. Next thing I'm going to do, make sure this is a nice true edge. We'll clean up that. Get rid of that. And we'll ease that part. Then we're going to go line this up, and I want to be just off of it. See how I'm just off of that, and come over here and just off of it again. And I'm going to make that cut across that way. Now we've got our two pieces that we can use. So we're going to flip this. This is this way. We're going to flip this. And we're going to take our piece of tape and come just off of it, and we're trying to split it. See how that's halfway? So we come off just that 1/8, and that's what going under helps us do, is get this to line up. One more time. There we go. Alright, so we're halfway. We're going to smooth everything out. Now, this is much easier to do were this all to be flat on, and we could have done this in the beginning. We're just doing it now. So what we're going to do is line up the edge, and we're just going to tack this side. Whoop, I'm not happy with that. So line our edges up, the end. Make sure to get that edge down in and pushed up against, and we're just going to run our finger across. If everything's gone right, we should have a nice working edge. Now, it's obviously not going down enough because we still have that little bit on there, and that's fine for now. We're going to sand that. We're going to take care of that. But for right now, our main concern is getting these attached on the top. So, take our piece, just under, come over here. Sorry if my head gets in the way, well, it won't get in the way of that, but then we're going to cut across. And we're going to peel our second piece. Real time here, folks. This is what happens doing stuff in real time and not edited videos. Got a little rolled edge here. I'm just going to run my finger across to get that unrolled. And then here, again, we've turned our piece over. The bevel's here. We're working on the upper part. Get this center touch there. Across and just place that down like that. Like I said, this would be easier if I had done this while it was still flat. It's much easier to get things aligned. We're gonna align that up, make sure it's all flush. Obviously, this is not the optimum way to do this. All right. Everything's good, everything's flat, secure. Again, can't do it all the way because we haven't done that edge. Now, we take our little sanding stick. Now that this is down here, we're going to roll this edge over, and we're just going to come along and just sand that to a nice point. When we sanded that to a nice point, we get that deflection that we need. That's the important part. But as you saw, I needed that little bit of a edge down there it helps to line things up. You can also do this while the paper's still on if you had your your surfaces attached onto here. Make a slice and do the bevel and everything, peel some of the paper and then stick it on. Obviously with this, our surfaces would not have cut out of the size that we were using because we're doing it at 20 inches here. So again, now we've got good deflection on that. Now we're going to do the insides here. And the way I do that is I'm going to grab a piece of tape here. Excuse me. Now, I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it completely 180. Alright, and that gives us that little edge. Then we're going to come along and we're going to, on where that bevel meets, that's our center line. So we're going to put our tape on that center line, just like so. Come across, make sure we're on that same center, and we're going to press. And then what we're going to do is continue to press, roll that corner, just like this, tape that down, come over the other way, get that bevel. Make sure to press in everywhere. Make sure it's nice and tight so that you get a good hinge. Just like that. I like to come across just gently with my nail to make sure that I've pressed into that bevel. Everything works well, and we should have a bevel that works. You might have to give a little bit. That's more deflection than we need. Come get this other piece. Sometimes with these, what I like to do, because I'm putting the tape on the inside, is I like to bevel this other edge to give it a little more space. We won't need to do that in this. I did notice though, as I was bending this, that we do have a weakness in here. So we're probably going to add some tape in here to strengthen that, where the carbon spar is going across. Excellent. Across that flat area, roll it down, just like so. Come across the bevel, down through there, a little run with our finger, and we've got our hinge. Now this is going to be very strong, which is wonderful. Nice and strong. I did notice when I came out today, if I push down a little bit here, I've got this rocking going on. It could be because I had it stored like this, and with it being that belly and everything else, it was a hot day yesterday, the foam might have bent during that. I'm going to store it flat today, see if that straightens it out. If it doesn't, and even if it doesn't, I'm probably going to take another carbon spar and run it down the length here to get this to lay flat. Once I glue it and everything else, it'll keep it nice and flat. I don't want a bow in that wing surface. It's going to create it to want to nosedive down, and we don't want that. Alright, so we've got this. Next thing to do is get our control horn in. So what we're doing with our control horn here, again, this is just a servo control horn, and we've got two pieces that we're going to use. So I come in and I'm going to nip this. Whoop, that went flying. Sorry about that squeak and the movement of the camera. I'm not sure if we're still in focus here, but we are where we are. Alright. So snip that. I'm going to just snip a little extra. You don't need all that extra sticking out. And this is Stealth, so we want to keep it as clean as possible. Alright, there we go. Now, When we put these in, we want to slightly angle them. So we're going to use, this has got 5 holes on it, so we're probably going to use the 4th hole in this. And if I'm correct, I believe the wire does not slide as easily into these holes, so I'll probably have to ream one out. Yeah, just a little bit. Ooh, keep dropping stuff. 4th. Yeah, it's just a little tight. So we get, in this case we have our smallest, this is 1/16. And we go to the hole we want right there, and we're just going to open it up just like this. Do the same on the other. This is going to make sure that our wire passes through easily. It does not, if it's too tight, obviously when it's moving, it's going to create stress on the servo, wear the servo out. So now with that little bit of reaming, it slides in perfect. So we want to make sure that that hole is over the center of our joint there. It makes it so that everything moves nice. We also want to make sure that we're putting them in the same spots on both and that we have that same angle. The reason why is, it doesn't seem like a whole lot, but if they're a little off and not in the same space, you don't get the same amount of deflection as they're moving. You can fix this with your remote. If you have one that allows you to program different stuff, the idea is not to have to do that. The closer you get it to straight on, the better you're going to be. Now our servos, because we're putting so much weight in the front, we're going to put these back as far as we can. So we're going to put them basically right even with this spar right here. And we're going to cut a little hole and we're going to insert it in. So by the time we're done there, we want to make sure that it's nice and even with our control horn. So what we're going to do, use the smaller ruler here. We're going to come in, grab our pen, make sure it writes. There we go. And we're going to come in 1/2 inch from this edge. Right there. We go to the other side. We get that same 1/2 inch. Now from that, our horn's going to go in. We want to go just where that bevel starts, and we're going to push in a little bit of a hole, and we're going to make it just big enough for that horn. Okay, take it to the edge, just make sure it's down and through. Come over here, do the same over here. To that edge, and just come on through, rock it a little bit. And because our servos are going to be here, we want the horn sticking through the other side. So come across to this side, and we're just going to put it through our little slot. And get that angle right. There we go. Get our second one. I want to make sure I've got them facing the same. Can't quite see the hole there, so I'm going to come back through, make sure and wiggle a little bit just to open it up so I can see it. There we go. Alright. Got these in. I want to make sure I angle them. As I can. Okay, so they're not exactly over, but they are even, and that's the important part. I've had my glue gun warming up. I'm going to go to this side, and we're going to just do a dollop. glue right there. Same on this side. Just a dollop of glue, moving it around, make sure that it's spread over an area. And that's it. We don't need to glue down through. We're just gluing that. Now we can't flip this over yet because we've got hot glue. You gotta let that dry. Take a little piece here, just kind of smooth that a little bit. Smooth that. There we go. Happy with that. Again, real time, folks. We gotta let stuff dry. It's the nature of this. I don't want to. It's still too much. Don't want to stick it to the surface and then have to try to pull that up. Not a good thing. Sing a little song, listen to some music. That's good. Okay. Come back to the side now. So again, I'm taking my useless one. This is broken. I cut the end off to make me know that it's not useful, so I don't go grabbing it in the box of servos. And I'm just gonna, now I know I've measured this, but from here to this edge is 3/4. It's even on both sides, so that means I can go straight from that and make a cut. It's important to make sure, you know, if you're doing stuff, especially if you've eyed it like I have, and you don't have quite as nice of an eye, that you measure to make sure that you're putting these in the same area. If there's differences in the lengths, the more difference there is, the more variation you're going to get in the deflection here. So we want to minimize that. So I know I'm going to cut from there. And I'm just going to come my blade down and make a cut through and start coming up. Oh, now I've gone, I think, a little more than I wanted. So you want to go, make sure you're going nice and slow on this. Now I want it tight, so I'm making sure to line this up, and I'm coming over here to make a mark. There we go. Come down from that mark and make another cut and go real slow, and then laying it down. Now again, we're going to glue our servo flat onto this surface, so I'm coming in and I'm just marking and coming across. And it looks like we did fine with that little slip we left out. And ended up getting it to stop just about right where I needed it to. So now, if you can try to undercut this, you can always cut more away. You cannot cut less off. You cannot put it back on, as they say. There we go. We're going to have a little trouble with this because it's glued. Just going to tear that away, and then we're going to test it. See how we did. It's definitely under, but it's snug, and that's great. That's what we want, because it's going to basically sit right like that, and then we'll control our control rod will come through here. Make sure I don't lose that. All right, so now we can pull this out and go to the other side and repeat the process. Across here. You notice I'm trying to keep this parallel. If I kept it like this, I wouldn't get the right measurement. So I'm keeping it parallel to this spar. Hopefully you can see that and I'm not out of camera view. I know I knocked it earlier, but we're gonna go for it here. And it doesn't really matter which way you start to cut, what you do first. You just need to make those cuts. There we go. to there and see through. Get this cut and up. And turn the blade over and cut down. And then cut through. Just a little tension there somewhere, probably because it's not there. And you can feel it wanting to push through. Just gently rock it out. Peel away the extra. And we're sitting good. Now we're going to be able to install our servos. Now, with our servos, you can see here I have them with the arms up opposite and the wires going down. I want the wires not this way because then I lose length. I want them to run that way. So I've got one arm going up this way and one the opposite. So to install these, simply put the wire through. You see that with this hatch open, now we're able to easily get in and do this. I'm using my fingers here to brace this because it's snug and we want that snug fit. And just get our servo into place there. For our second one, putting that wire in. Again, I'm bracing this so it doesn't snap because it's got no paper on it, so we've got no strength. And put that in set. We want it running parallel. And that's where those are going to sit, just like that. So, we're happy with that. We don't need to put the glue underneath and stick it down. All we're going to do, we don't want it to move, so we're going to do a dot on the outside here. A little dot over here, right in that corner. And then we're coming inside, move that, and just running it along the edge of that servo. Again, little dot here. Little dot on the other side. And then running down our servo. Like so. And that's going to secure it so we don't have to worry about it moving, flexing, and then creating different reflection with our control surfaces. Alright. That's all in. Now we can take our control rods and insert it into our hole, and you see we've got way more on this than we need. These servos have been centered. So what I like to do is you put it up like this, and I like to go a little more than a 1/4 inch in length, longer than what I need. And then I'll come over, I'm holding the piece that's going to be going flying, and come on. Live video, huh? There we go. Now to install this, you could move the servo arm to get the extra. I don't like to do that. It creates too much movement from where it's supposed to be. I just try to get enough deflection here. I say I can't in this case. So what I am going to do is then move the servo arm, get that to feed through, bring it close to center. Now, these are adjustable, so we'll be able to recenter that once we're done. Go to the second one here now. Now that I'm looking at this, I don't really care for how low that is. So I am going to go ahead and move this out of the way. Pull this out. Got my, didn't have quite enough of that control horn out. So now I'm going to go to the top hole. And I'm going to drill that out and let that be where our control rod goes from. I can always, in my remote, if I got too much deflection going on, dial that down. There we go. Install this on the top. Much nicer. I like that better. Here it is. All right. Put that in. Mark it up to there. Again, about a little more than a 1/4 inch. There we go. Clear away anything we don't need, we're not using. See if we can do this with enough deflection. We can. Insert that in. Now with this requires a flat head, so push them flat. Flat head in there. And we're just going to snug it. There we go. And now it's going to hold our control surfaces. Now, we need to route these wires. So, we're going to take our extensions and make sure we match up the wires. So the light yellow is up on top, so it's on top there. If you plug this in wrong, you'll get it wrong when you go to put it in the receiver, and they just won't work. So it's not like you have to worry that they're going to, explode or short out or anything like that. They're just basically not going to work. Okay. Now we've got them installed. Now we've got to take this off. Again, this is the reason why we did not install these two panels, front and back, is because we needed to access areas, right? Hold that so it doesn't tear and pop, break our foam. Alright, so now you can see this is going to get tucked in. We're going to actually glue a little bit. We'll take our glue gun, and all we're going to do is put a little dollop of glue, and then take our wire, stretch it, and put it into that glue. Just like that. Get that set for about 20-30 seconds. And that's going to keep our wire nice and clean in there. There we go. And then we're going to touch onto that extension, just a little dollop, and then we're going to stretch that and push that against that fuselage also. And we want to keep this really tight because this is where our propeller is going to be spinning. Now we should have plenty of space not to have to worry about that, but if this starts to move, obviously, it comes loose from there, it's going to cut the connection, and we're going to lose control of this plane. This is not, we can't afford to have that happen, alright? So we're going to make sure this is all nice and tucked in. You can even come back in and get a little extra glue in some areas just to make sure that we're not going to have it get loose and pop in. Okay. Come on over here, repeat the process. Get a dollop in, this wire, stretch it a bit, let that go in, pull if we need to. We'll hold that there. My fingers are on either side of where I put the glue so that it's not in the glue getting burnt. And again, we just need 20-30 seconds for that glue to start hardening, and it's going to hold that right in place. I do keep a fan going on. That helps. It's basically like blowing on it. And it just moves air across everything. Alright. Make sure we're happy with all that's going to sit. Perfect. Excellent. And then we're going to glue down in the areas that we want to make sure it does not move. And don't get any extra. You don't want to glue too much because if we have a problem with the servo, obviously we need to be able to pull it out. Alright. So with this, we've got this hole that we've created for our motor wires to go through. All we have to do is come through that same hole, push the wires right on through and right inside. Obviously don't get caught on the motor like that, and just feed it on in. Okay, we're going to pull this to the side of the wires over here so we know it's that servo. It's going to be on that side of those wires. And we take this one and feed it in. There we go. And put it on the other side of those wires so we know that it's this servo. Alright. I'm probably going to clean and tuck these. I may even lay a little piece of tape since we've got some tape here. We'll go ahead and use it. That way we don't waste it. Oh, it's already cut in half, so I'm just going to peel this up. And I'm just going to do a couple things. It's just going to make it so that the wire doesn't go anywhere and kind of clean up inside here. Our second piece. I'm going to turn this so I can see what I'm doing in here. You see how if we had to try to do this with those covers on, how difficult this would be, almost technically impossible as far as I'm seeing. I just would not be able to get my fingers, because I have big hands, in there to do that. Now we've got our servos all in, secure. Make sure you press that tape down completely. Nothing's going to get snagged, nothing's going to get in the way of the propeller. It's not going to cut it. And we're good there. So, we've done our surfaces, installed our servos, ran our wires. That is going to do it for this video. I hope you all have enjoyed this. Again, step-by-step process. And as I said, or may not have said in the beginning of the video, but I'll say it now. As you go along, you will need to install things at certain times. And this is that process. We installed the motor first. Now we've installed the servos. Really, for the electronics, the only thing left is the receiver, the ESC. I think that is it. Oh, and of course, we know where the battery is going to go. But electronic-wise, without the battery, it's the ESC and the receiver, which will go into here. And we'll probably hit that on the next video. We also will be closing this up at some point. That might be the next video. So this was build video number 6. I hope you all enjoyed it. Go make it, folks. You can do it. Have a lot of fun. I'm definitely enjoying this process. I hope you all are enjoying this journey with me. If you haven't done so, please like and subscribe subscribe to the channel, like the videos. It definitely helps me out. My last video one of the last videos I put up, I'm at 79 views, which is amazing and great, but I only have 25 subscribers, which means some of you are watching the video, but you're not subscribing and you're not liking. So please like and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in. I did take this all off of Friendly for Kids. In the beginning I was like, yes, I'm not going to be cursing, I'm not going to do anything, so it'll be appropriate for kids. The problem with that is it doesn't allow you the viewers, to comment. So I want to make sure that you're allowed to comment, so I'm making it not appropriate for kids, as it were, because people will eventually say something rude in there, and of course it can be viewed by you all. So feel free to comment. I'm happy to respond to them. We'll see you in the next video. Y'all have a wonderful day.